Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm doing a reaction to Watch This to Improve Your Mental Well-Being, Mental Health, Mental Well-Being, Gaur does. Again, I stress this is very important. For me, I'm fairly decent in my well-being, I think. I think the time in college about the world religion, life is suffering, taken so long thinking about those things and thinking about my life and thinking about my emotions throughout my life helped me dial that in. But also Advaita Vedanta, even though it came very late in my life, luckily, well, I won't say luckily enough, for the most part I understood some of it. But again, well-being, your mental well-being is very important. If you're not taking Eastern philosophy, let's hear what this guy has to say.
One of the things that I was taught when I joined the ashram, the monastery, was to be very particular and conscious about my diet. And that diet referred to more than what I ate, more than the food I consumed, more than the preps I tasted, more than the intake of the nutrients that were required to mitigate my hunger and keep my body nourished and fit. A healthy diet also meant being particular about all those things that I was consuming and feeding my mind, my intellect, my inner self, my soul. It meant all those sights, sounds, smells that I was feeding my inner system. Isn't it true that all of us who want to stay fit and healthy are very cautious and conscientious about the quantity and the quality of the food we eat? Some of us may eat the right quality of food, but in the wrong quantity. Eat too less, you may end up becoming weak. Eat too much, and you may end up becoming obese. And then some of us may eat the right quantity of food, but of the wrong quality, and that could lead to health issues too. Good health is a consequence of a balanced diet, the right quality and the right quantity of food. If we want to be mentally well, emotionally stable, intellectually fit and spiritually inspired, we need to have a balanced diet for these inner aspects of our life as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be fit internally as well, here are a few tips for good mental health. Number one, be particular about the quantum. Just as each one of us has a different capacity to eat and digest food, we also have a different capacity to process what goes into our minds. Some people can watch a horror movie in the night and still go to sleep. In fact, even snore, and the sound of that snoring may seem scarier than the sound effects from the movie. Yet others are so scared that they can't sleep. Even a tiny sound of the window can send a chill down their spine. For some people, gossip can enter through one ear and leave from the other without affecting their state of consciousness. Rare species though. And for other people, the same gossip sticks to their mind. It occupies their precious mental space. It distorts the image of the person who is being criticized or spoken ill of. There are those who can handle a lot of pressure coming from work or from financial liabilities or from personal problems and issues, and they can effectively swim across these oceanic challenges.
Real quick, I meant to pause it earlier, but it didn't pause. Talked about how gossip can go from one ear to another. I don't think you should necessarily let it go one ear and out the other just because, well, I mean, again, it's all up to you of how you want to live your life. Always listen to people. And what I'm saying is that if people are gossiping about you and they don't know you, you can correct them. Don't have to be rude about it. Because by being rude, you could end up, reaffirming some of those gossips. Or, those gossip may not be about you, but it could be something wrong. And you could correct people. Again, not in a rude manner, but at the same time, by listening to these gossips, you can get an idea about some people. So if you let it go in one ear and out the other, you won't learn about people. You won't understand people. So the big thing about gossip, or anything in general, is to not let it affect you. So if someone's talking bad about you or whatever, you can listen to it and hear it. You can understand who's talking about you and whatnot, and learn and understand. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if they're talking things that are untrue about you, then you can listen to that and just know that, well, it's not true, so it's not going to affect me. And if it is true, well, it's true. You can't deny it. It's either it's not true or it's true. There's no in between. There's not a lie that you would believe, would you? If you heard a lie, it's like, oh my gosh, you're telling false information about me. I need to get angry at that. And it's like, no, it's false. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's easier said than done. But generally speaking, when people talk bad about you and they don't know you, it's just talk. People, hopefully you have you presented yourself in such a way that people who know you know that you're not that. That when people that know you hear that, it's like, that doesn't sound like that person. So my biggest thing is, it's not necessarily just to let it fly by. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. But the best thing is not to let it affect you, no matter what. Again, easier said than done, absolutely. For me, it's always been understanding. Again, and the understanding for that, for me, is like, if they're talking bad about you, the understanding for that, is it true? No. Nothing to worry about. Is it true? Yes. Well, it's true. Can't help it. Well, you can make changes on your life in terms of like, that is true, maybe I should try better. If it's true, you can't deny it. If it's false, you can deny it, and it shouldn't affect you because it's just false anyway.
And then there are those who sink under the very same kind of pressure. They feel stressed and worked up. They feel overwhelmed and sometimes even break down. Guys, identify your digestive capacity. If you take too less, you'll never grow. You'll remain in your comfort zone, mentally weak and fragile. Step out, do more, face more, and you'll slowly become stronger.
Real quick with that one, that is fantastic, because I feel, I feel that most Westerners are so comforted. They don't get me wrong, no one likes confrontation. No one likes struggles in their life. But it's how you handle your struggles and how you deal with them is the most important thing. One of the most important things. I don't know if it's the most important thing. It could be. But it is an important thing. Because how you handle that will determine what kind of person you will be whenever stress just so happens to come up in your life. If you just break down under stress, you're not going to be a reliable person. You won't be able to handle certain situations. You may cry and give up and be kind of weak. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of people who have never had any kind of, how do I say, conflict. Never had any kind of anything. Essentially, they had everything in their life says yes to them, and they finally hear a no, and they break down and cry because no. What's that word? How does that word is ever uttered in front of me? You know, and those are the kind of people that are just they're so pampered. They had no struggles in their life, and all of a sudden there's a no, and they break down, cry, yell, scream, or whatever. It's really crazy. I feel that just because of how most Western people are, well, I won't say most. Let's just say Western people, and generally speaking. But again, I will repeat this: I believe to be developed areas more so than anything. It's not. It just happens to be more in the West that they become like this.
If you exceed your capacity, you may end up in the panic zone. Your mind may just hang up like your smartphone whose memory is full. Take it easy, relax, calm down. You may need a break. You may need some comfort. And number 2, be very conscious of the quality of your mental intake. If you're all the time listening to or watching or reading content that is negative, even if it's for a short while, your mind can get very negatively affected. We all know how we feel when we listen to someone being criticized vis-a-vis someone being praised. We all know how we feel when we are insulted and how we feel when we are genuinely appreciated and encouraged. We all know how we feel when we read books or watch stuff in the dark space and how we feel when we take in uplifting stuff.
I'll say that again. about like social media or taking in negative stuff in social media or comments. This is something that I actively try to read, just because I know I get an emotion trigger, like a hurt trigger. And it's like I shouldn't be feeling that for just a brief moment, and then after like a minute or two, it goes away. It's like who cares? It's like, it is what it is, kind of deal. But the thing is, though, is that by me exposing myself with that, hopefully I can adjust how I react to those things. That way, I'm not, how to say, overreact or don't react in such a way that I do not like myself to react to. So that's the thing. Being exposed to certain things, hopefully you can let it not affect you, and also learn to handle it when it does affect you. It's kind of like training for a lot of things. In order to train for, say, any kind of sport, you need to participate in the sport. In order to train in debates, you have to get into a debate with someone. In order to be able to handle comments, you have to be able to read the comments that are negative or positive. I don't know about handling positive comments. That's a difficult one. But negative comments, though. Being able to handle criticism and all that. So I'm trying to expose myself, and I've been, luckily enough, people have been very nice. And for the most part, there's a few very rare occasions that pop up, but most of the comments have been very great and very informative. But again, you get my point. In order for, I don't want to say that it's like you're numbing yourself to it. It can be seen that way, but I like to think it more along the lines of like preparing yourself, like training. It really is just like training. When you expose yourself to it, you train. You get desensitized, maybe. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because imagine someone insulting you. It's like, eh. It's like, oh, you're desensitized. No, that's good. But there are some negative things when you get desensitized to certain things, perhaps. But anyways.
So be very choosy about what you see, hear, smell, talk, and touch. Make sure whatever goes in makes you grow mentally strong and positive, and not the opposite. Because at the end of the day, you are indeed what you consume. Eat. Ah.
Okay, but yeah, for sure. Again, don't shelter yourself too much. Don't be afraid to get criticized. It will help. Hopefully it will help you grow. I'm not going to say it's going to let you grow. That's all up to you, whether you grow through criticism and whatnot. Read the criticism, hear out the criticism, see if it's legitimate, see if it's not. If it's not, then it's not a legitimate criticism. If it is, hey, look, you learned something, maybe you can adjust. Again, it's up to you whether you adjust or not. It's up to you whether the criticism is valid or not. For them, the criticism is valid. For you, maybe it's not. It's a very subjective world in terms of what is good and bad criticism. But, hopefully we all know what's the right path and what's the right criticism, what's the right things to do in life. Although, I will say, it's feeling like that's becoming less and less now. At least in terms of the Western world. At least let's say America for now. Anyways, that's my reaction to, again, very important to be mindful of your mental health. Obviously, if you follow Eastern philosophy, at the very least, I'll say that because that's the one I know in terms of Advaita Vedanta and any other Eastern philosophies that helps you clear your mind, meditate, and not associate with certain emotions. I think you're probably in the right path. And don't get me wrong, if you feel emotions, you get angry, you lash out a little bit, that is a normal human behavior. And that's the point of getting into any kind of philosophy. Hopefully, well, I don't want to say any kind of philosophy. I don't know all the philosophies, but let's say at least Eastern philosophy for the most part is to disassociate yourself from the emotions and the ego. That way, insult doesn't harm you. Yes. Anyways, that's my reaction to that. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.